This video is brought to you in part by Squarespace. Welcome back to Sonic Speed Reading. Issue 71 kicks off right where 70 left off, with Tails and Amy and their shocked reaction as they found the tied up Belle. They release her, give her hand back, and she lets them know what's going on. Turns out that she was checking all the extreme gear, and when she got to Tails, she immediately recognized it was his work. But before she could get to her analysis, the Clean Sweep security absconded with them. She scolded the security. They're supposed to be helping the restoration, but instead they've practically taken over, and whatever she saw, Clutch didn't want anybody else to see, so they tied her up and left her in a locker. This is the one part about this world being as tame as it is. Normally you'd expect people to just kill any witnesses, especially a robot, but whatever. Ain't gonna be too stressed on it. I like Belle, I don't want her dead. Anyway, this reporting from Belle and the description of the boss connects a few dots. If you recall, Amy has run across Clutch herself before in the past, and after a quick chat with Belle, she quickly deduces that the opossum is behind everything. But while all of that is going on, we turn our attention back to another event of the Clean Sweepstakes, and I like that they're not all just races. Now we're in the Misty Spire with an airborne game of dodgeball, which looks pretty awesome. Jet has grown a bit jealous of Surge, so all of his attention is on the Tenric, and Sonic has returned as the Phantom Rider, ready to cause more problems. But before he does, the event is set upon by another Phantom Rider, talking smack to the Diamond Cutters, and then running around causing all kinds of problems. Grabbing a ball, feigning surrender, and then attacking Lanlin before making an escape, closely followed by all of the key racers. That would include Surge, Kit, the Babylon Rogues, and the security force that is the Diamond Cutters. But through the mist, Sonic also follows along as the original Phantom Rider. But in the mist, a different confrontation begins as Surge sets upon Tangle and Whisper. This is their first interaction since they fought back in Central City, and Surge is quick to point that out, saying, "Imagine what they'll say when I smear your little lemur friend across one of these rocks," which obviously pisses off Whisper, and she sets off after Surge. But as they head into the mist, they come across, well, Surge and Kit, but they are completely dumbfounded by the attack by Whisper. But the Tenric is not one to question why anyone would pick a fight. She's just going to fight. The counterattack sends Whisper into Jet, who gets ticked off, and they decide to join the battle as well. And if you haven't figured it out by now, that wasn't Surge talking crap in the mist, and it certainly wasn't a second Sonic the Hedgehog running around in a phantom suit. It has been, this entire time, Mimic, who has come across the real Phantom Rider, catches him off guard, and lets loose his helmet, revealing the identity of Sonic to Mimic, and soon after, the rest of the Riders. And remember, the Rogues, the Diamond Cutters, Surge and Kit, none of them knew that he wasn't that second Phantom Rider. But even without that, this isn't a good look for the Hedgehog. None of them are aware of why he's doing this after all. But before there are any explanations or anything else, one of the giant rock columns crumbles and separates Sonic from his friends and rivals, leaving Sonic by himself looking a little guilty. We later turn our attention to the Babylon Rogues, who have reconvened for some food, trying to figure out what the heck Sonic was doing. As much as Jet doesn't like the Hedgehog, he knows better than to think that Sonic would be paid off. These three know him well enough to know that he is the hero, and because of that, they immediately assume that somebody else is the bad guy. That somebody else is probably Clean Sweep. Now Jet is mad that Sonic figured out that Clean Sweep is full of crooks before he did. Jet won't stand for it, and he declares that the Rogues now have a new mission. As that's going on, Surge and Kit discuss the events between the two of them. Remember, she is working for Clutch, and she is completely confused as to why Sonic is running around as the Phantom Rider. This was supposed to be a simple gig, play nice until the opossum gave him a word, and then they'd rough up the restoration. But now she doesn't know what the heck is going on. But before she can continue her thought, she's interrupted by a fan. This little fan, which I'm assuming is named Ivy, considering the shirt, is not only a lovely reference and a slight hint of progression in the story that is Murder of Sonic the Hedgehog. If you've forgotten, that's the conductor's wife, and therefore that's their kid, so that means they started a family. That's adorable. But this is the first time Surge has been approached by a regular character, a child nonetheless, and was seen as a hero. This child obviously idolizes her, and little Ivy leaves waving, saying that someday she will be Spiky and punch a lot of bad guys too. That quick little interaction cemented something she's clearly been thinking about since she has been seen as a hero by the public. She tells Kit she doesn't think they can keep doing this. They don't deserve it. And Kit, as supportive as he is, says he doesn't understand what's going on, but when the crowd cheers for her, she lights up. The whole world lights up, and he would do anything to see that for her again. And also, for the first time in any of the comics, I'll go back and check, but no, I'm not. Somebody can correct me in the comments. But I think this is the first time that we've seen Kit completely open his eyes in excitement. This is a tender little moment for a couple of very broken individuals. So yeah, the focus is no longer on Sonic at all, but sounds like they're more talking about their future. We then turn to Duo and Lanolin, who is busy punching, well, a punching bag. She's real ticked since she was immediately taken out by that second Phantom Rider. Duo apologizes, saying that his first real action and all he has to show for it is a bump on his head, blaming this Phantom Rider for his injury. Obviously, since this is actually Mimic, he's just feigning an excuse for what he was doing while he was running around as that fake Phantom. And he continues to stir the pot, saying that Tangle and Whisper said the Phantom ran away, but he doesn't know, and plants the idea that those two might be hiding something to spare their feelings. It's hard to say what they'd do on their own, but he's lucky they always have Lanolin to guide them. Tangle overhears all this and then runs to her girlfriend, who they don't officially confirm is her girlfriend, but come on, we all know. And Whisper is sitting with all of her wisps. Now, that quick interaction confirmed something we didn't know up to this point. Even though Tangle and Whisper know that Sonic is the Phantom Rider, they haven't said a thing to anybody. Tangle just can't give up on Sonic. Even though she knows what she saw, she doesn't believe it. Lanolin hates the Phantom Rider, and if they told her, well, Tangle's not sure what she would do. She just knows her and Whisper have to figure this out before they go to the rest of the Diamond Cutters. But while Tangle was talking, Whisper had her mask on the whole time, and she cuts Tangle off mid-sentence, takes her mask off, and tells the lemur to take a look at something. As it turns out, back when they fought Mimic together all the way back in their mini-series, she stopped recording video in her mask. She thought she wouldn't need to anymore, but after everything that happened with Silver, which is again earlier on in the Misadventures, if you want to get caught up with that, she decided to start recording again because she no longer trusts herself. She no longer trusts what she sees, but she trusts what her mask sees, and she trusts Tangle. So she has Lemur try on her mask to see some distinct differences between the two times the rider showed up. And as they can see, that second rider, the more violent one, had a slightly different color for his visor, a completely different X gear, other little details when compared to Sonic's getup, which they also saw that same day. And it's important to tell the difference because Whisper noticed that the Phantom Rider did not directly attack anybody that first time he showed up, as opposed to the second. So while they still don't know what Sonic is up to, that at least proves to Tangle that something else is going on here, and Sonic is probably up to something more noble than what they saw from that second rider. So we end these three diverging conversations with Tangle and Whisper determined to figure out the real mystery behind Sonic, the Rogues determined to find out what's going on with Clean Sweep, and Surge and Kit deciding that they are going to earn the right to be heroes. But while all of that is happening, we then turn our attention to Mimic, reporting into Clutch that the Phantom Rider has been Sonic the Hedgehog this whole time. And Clutch is not happy about it. He did not ever want this much attention from Sonic, and he is mad, saying that he will pull out his quills one by one and make him eat them. His plans look to be falling apart, but before he loses his temper, he apologizes to Mimic, saying his temper does flare up sometimes, but it's not his fault, and he has to get back to work, saying the next time the Phantom shows himself at his sweepstakes, it will be the last. And that, my friends, is where issue 71 ends. Before we carry on, I want to take a moment to talk about today's sponsor, Squarespace. Jumping online and building up your own brand was always an intimidating thing for me, but Squarespace makes that a streamlined, fast, and easy process, all while making you look good thanks to their Fluid Engine, a next-generation website design tool that lets you tweak any of their many templates with easy-to-use drag-and-drop tools. And I don't need to tell you how useful websites can be, whether you want to build up a portfolio of your work, an art gallery, or a shop, because yes, they have everything you need to run your own online business, including analytics that help show you the strongest avenues of growth and help you build up marketing strategies, which include integration with your favorite social media networks. And they can even help you set up an online shop to sell and distribute custom merch. All you have to do is design it and they'll handle production, inventory, and shipping. Really doesn't get any easier than that. And to make it just a bit easier, if you use my link, squarespace.com/gameapologist, you'll get 14 days for free, which is plenty of time to see if this is right for you. And when you want to make a purchase, that same link will get you 10% off your first order. Thank you again to Squarespace for sponsoring the video. Issue 72 kicks off with Surge and Kit walking into Clutch's office, proudly declaring that they quit. Clutch just laughs, spitting out his cola. And now with Surge screaming at Clutch, I'm just realizing how many green characters are in IDW Sonic, and I'm very thankful for it. Thank you guys. Great color. But yeah, Clutch does not take them or their resignation seriously. As he explains to Surge, he sees what's going on here. They've had a taste of the limelight, and now they've come to see their arrangement as a burden. But the thing about enjoying that fame, it's not theirs. They're only heroes because Clutch has made them heroes, and he can make them monsters just as easily. Long and short of it, they're trapped. But he says, hey, cheer up, you still get glory, you get fame, and you even get to be a bit violent here and there. And all they have to do is maintain appearances. They should instead be thanking him. But if they still don't get it, he puts it out very plainly. Be quiet and do your job and know your place. And speaking of the job, he assigns Surge with the task of taking out the Phantom Rider. As they leave the office, Surge, as you can imagine, is pretty pissed, and she's got to let off that rage somehow. And she does that by shooting off an electrical storm. We turn our attention to the caravan of cars that have been following along the shuttle as it makes its way across the world with each new event. Under one of the tour buses, we find Sonic with a cloak trying to fix his busted nano gear. This unfortunately leaves his face exposed, which is a problem because he has to get back into action as Surge's thunderstorm kicks off a bit of a problem between all those flying cars. Unfortunately, even though he's wearing a cloak this time, everybody in the cars immediately recognize the Phantom Rider. And while all that's happening, one of the lightning bolts hits a car and it begins to fall, but before Sonic can do anything about it, Storm arrives to save the day. The Babylon Rogues are here to help things out, guiding the cars away from the lightning storm and back towards the rest of the caravan. But while all that's happening, Jet recognizes the rider, who he obviously knows is Sonic. He goes to confront him, but Sonic, with all these people around, cannot risk his identity. So he attempts for a plan B. He takes off his cloak, throws it in Jet's face, and he, well, takes off. Unfortunately, he's got nowhere to go, which is a problem since he doesn't have his mask on anymore. But the RV he's next to opens its door and yanks him in. And it turns out he's rescued by Knight the Owl. Now, while we have seen Knight a few times here and there in IDW, this is the first time he's actually met Sonic the Hedgehog. He's then introduced to Dawn, who, if you don't remember, is, I don't know if they're dating or if they're married, but they're a couple. These two immediately believe Sonic when he says it wasn't him at the Misty Spire causing all the problems. And again, Sonic has got a lot of sway in this world. He's done a lot of good for folks. These two birds are only here to help him and also help keep him away from another certain bird on the hunt to find him. But once that worry clears, Knight produces a couple of mugs with a couple cute references on them and makes some cocoa. And the owl and the hedgehog have a discussion. When Sonic is asked about whether or not he's worried about the birds revealing his identity, the hedgehog kind of shrugs, saying it's a bit late for that. It would have been nice to keep flying under the radar, but it doesn't change anything to him. His friends are counting on him, so no matter what the world thinks, he'll do what he has to do. This is important because this really says a lot about Sonic and his character and why he's so cool. He was keeping a secret identity for the sake of his friends and for the sake of everything that was happening there. It just made things easier. But if that's compromised, it's whatever to him. He's always going to do what he thinks is the right thing to do. That's about as Sonic as it gets. Also, I gotta admit, I kind of want to try their cocoa. It sounds awesome. They add a little bit of cinnamon and chili to it. Has anyone ever tried that? Like a spicier cocoa? That sounds kind of awesome. But yeah, now that Sonic has said his piece, he asks what these two birds are up to, and Knight asks him if he's familiar familiar with the Chaotix detective agency. As it turns out, Knight and Dawn help them out from time to time, and recently they've been investigating Clean Sweep Incorporated. They had spoken the night before everything kicked off, but they haven't heard back from them for a while. So it turns out Sonic, Knight, Dawn, and the Chaotix are all trying to accomplish the same thing. They think Clean Sweep is up to something, and they're trying to get to the bottom of it. With everybody on the same page, turns out that Dawn had been working on fixing Sonic's nano gauntlet. He does his awesome little Sentai pose, gives it a slap, and he's off yet again. We turn our attention back to Surge and Kit, who have been sitting there through the entire night. And we have a heartbreaking little interaction here, with Kit grabbing a hold of Surge as she feels completely and utterly defeated. First it was Starline, and now it's Clutch. No matter what they do, someone's always controlling them. But Kit says it's going to be okay because he has an idea. For the first time in this issue, we turn our attention back to Tails and Amy as they come across the mascots for Clean Sweep. Turns out they're guarding the door to Jules' office. But as we quickly find out, they're not just any old mascots, they can actually put up a bit of a fight. And it's quickly revealed that the mascots are none other than Rough and Tumble. They call in for backup and then give chase to our heroes. And that is where issue 72 ends. That's gonna do it for today, but I'll be back tomorrow to continue the Sonic Riders saga. Before we go, I have to shout out my amazing patrons who help support the channel, with an extra special shout out to these fine folks here: SonicBot, Cho, Henshin, Tenric, Terror, KB, Naburnyard, Siegfried Wilder, Salem Hollow, The Mavungus, Among Us, Humongous Bongos, the RSI, Gob, MT Mecha, the world's most unironic 8.5 tail stand, Drabo06, Daza S, Penn Adelaide. Of course, we're still here for this turtle boy. We're Sonic fans. Refusing to let go of old things is kind of our entire shtick. Spearmint, Kaido Prower, the Lex, the most powerful ship in the two universes, Neil Gampa, Conan Kudo, Alexander Watson, Gleam the Anomaly, Makuta of Salt, Godzilla, Roxas the Cat, Crimson Rose. Did you know this entire video was AI generated? Twilord, Banui, Sindarin 7, Paxton Bisbee, Then 101, Ken K, Xerxes the Renegade Jin, Grayson Conager, Enerjack 5, Trash Baphomet, David 19 Covers, Ledric, Wayne is Boss, Lenny X, Graham J Hall, 3 Monic, Stefan Plakanica, The Dark Neon, Cecil the Glade, Mr. SP, Chad, Clover Chats, Jonathan Dobbs, The Bad Pal, Lucas Lipker, Fish Flop, Sam Webster, Singer J199, Miles the Prower, Quote, Resident Fanboy, Bo Bennings, Meekers, Tristan Trapp, Jack of All Spades, Ginger Bob, Tiny Jericho, Hatsworth, Trey Nobles, Josh Strider, Joseph Duncan Sonic 2 Blue, Cirrus the Skeptic, and Kyle Winter. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and for real, thank you guys so much for the support. It always has and always will mean the world to me. I'll see you guys in the comments, and for anybody who hasn't read yet, please do not spoil the story for them. Alright, until next time, toot toot Sonic Warriors.